outside Asia, and that construction will begin early next year in the town of Santa Teresa near the Mexican border. Auto workers at a Mercedes plant in Alabama are striking with the United Auto Workers Union. ZF Chassis Systems joins many others in the effort against major automakers. UAW's president warned that the strike would continue to get bigger until companies are able to come to a deal with better offers. The Federal Reserve isn't expected to announce an interest rate hike today. Michael Kastner has more.
Fed watchers see the funds rate staying at the current range of 5.25% to 5.5%. The Fed has raised interest rates 11 times since March of last year.
Dozens of pro-Armenian protesters have blocked a freeway in Los Angeles for the second time in the past 2 months. The group walked onto the southbound 101 freeway near downtown L.A. late Tuesday night to call attention to the ongoing conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM radio for every vehicle act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Single-family houses and apartments are the key to passive income, a.k.a. retirement. No one knows this better than America's most successful investor, educator, self-made multimillionaire, and CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley. Meet Del's team live in Mountain View. 2 days only at the Hyatt Centric Mountain View. Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd. To attend, register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential. Register today at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
What is your plan for your beneficiaries to manage your final expenses when you pass away? Life insurance, annuities, bank accounts, investment accounts, all require a death certificate, which takes 10 days based on the national average, which means no money is immediately available, and this causes stress and arguments. Simple solution, the beneficiary liquidity plan. Use money you already have. No need to come up with additional funds. The funds grow tax-deferred and pass tax-free to your named beneficiaries. The death benefit is paid out in 24 to 48 hours without a death certificate. You heard me right. Without a death certificate. Call us at 1-800-306-5086.
Rawlings Automotive Inc. reminds listeners to take a moment to recognize our men and women in uniform who are serving our country. Their sacrifices help keep America strong and free. This reminder from Rawlings Automotive Inc. For all your classic car, hot rod, custom car, and truck needs, let Rawlings Automotive years of experience work for you. Call 951-361-3001. That's 951-361-3001. Visit RawlingsAutoInc.com. That's RawlingsAutoInc.com. Or stop by 6107 Marlette Street in Mira Loma. That's Rawlings Automotive Inc. on the air because they care.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today. Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so
okay,
I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 6.5 and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. I'm Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host. I'm here to welcome you with a smile and a laugh and a co-host today. It is Doctors in the House. It is Wednesday. My newest co-host regularly here to, with me, try to get you to take some, not medication, but drink the Kool-Aid to have a better life, because this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K words, no Kanye talk, formerly or now. And we do topics that, may or may not affect your happiness. And today I'm delighted that she picked a good one. And I happen to be in the middle of one right now. So today will be a good day for me to practice what I teach. Even though the show name is Take My Advice, I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. But in case I see eyeballs rolling in, if you would like to participate in this and have a question that you would like to ask either Dr. Tiffany or I or both about confrontation, then please do go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe. You'll get an alert every weekday morning so you can tune in and chat along and live, love, laugh, and learn. Welcome back, Tiffany. Wednesdays go really fast from one Wednesday to another, huh? So glad you're here. Can you hear me?
I can. Alexa tried to chime in.
Oh. Alexa knows my voice, I guess, huh? So here we go. First, before we get into confrontation, we're going to confront the breakfast. And Breakfast with Dr. Marissa and guest and co-host, whoever's here, is taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. It's also a way for us to share the great things that have been happening. So we do it in the frame of what are you grateful for? So feel free to put those in the chat as well, as long as you're not driving. So what, in one word, are you grateful for? Top of the button. You start us off.
My dog, Mickey Jack.
Ooh. My granddog's son, Pablo, who's moving to San Francisco today.
My creativity.
My love of laughter.
My family.
My daughters.
And my church family.
And there we go. That's the top of the button. Now we're going to go to the bottom of the button, which is, what do you like about yourself? So top of the button is outside of yourself. Bottom of the button is what you do before you go to bed at night, so that you're not having difficulty falling asleep, thinking about all the things you haven't done, all the bad things that are on the news, CNN, constantly negative news. Instead, you're thinking about what you like about yourself. I believe it's the hallmark or the foundation of good mental health. That's my BS belief system. So that's what we do. And Dr. Tiffany, I'll let you start it off again.
My humor.
My creativity.
My kindness.
Your turn.
And generosity.
Your what?
Generosity.
Awesome. My sight. Clear sight.
And
one more.
Joy. My joy.
My laughter, my favorite sound. And that is it. There's the top of the bun, bottom of the bun. Not that big of a deal. We got a finger for that. Not that finger, but this finger. Thank you so much from the Cashew Gallery. I would love for you to continue to do this exercise, whether you tune in with me or not every morning, because if you do 28 days, good habit, you will envelop and sandwich your day in the most positive way. So, yummy. All righty, here we go. You're up. Uh-oh. Okay, it's going to be one of those mornings, Frank. We'll wait for Dr. Tiffany to come back, and in the meantime, I will introduce the topic, which is confrontation. I don't know what happened, but you're gonna introduce the topic. I didn't kick you out. I didn't. I swear. But go ahead and introduce our topic.
Well, when it comes to confrontation, you can have a lot of different types of responses. You have this primal response where you can either fight or flight. And confrontation isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it can spark a nurturing response where it can improve a situation because it can open the doors of communication and foster and improve an environment if it is healthy, because it can help you assert yourself and protect yourself, especially if a situation is not necessarily fostering an environment that is healthy for you. So, depending on how things are going, if it is a situation in which you're being abused, you can welcome a healthy situation in which you're speaking up for yourself. But sometimes confrontation cannot necessarily be a good thing. So, depending on the environment in which you grew up in, you can stay, you can stick your head in the dirt and ignore it, or you can become a little bit more aggressive. And I think a lot of times you can confront the confrontation in lots of different ways. And so I was
So
thinking,
before you go into that, before go into the actual application, I like to make sure that people are anchored in the reality of confrontation. And I think you said like 18 things there. So I want us to sort of break it down so that we're all um, we're all in the same place when it comes to like the range of confrontation, because you unwrapped a wonderful like world of it. So I just want us to be real. I do that at the first half of the show. I want to make sure y'all know we're not perfect. We're doctors in the house, but we have we have the same um, issues for tissues that y'all do. And the best way I know how to do that is usually tell on myself and live my life out loud. So I'm going to just use my life as an example for all those kinds of things that you just brought up so wonderfully. So the first extreme confrontation that you mentioned that I think we all want to um, make sure we're not talking about staying in situations that are harmful for you, and that those are the situations that a confrontation is probably a good thing. Did I get that right? Did I get that as what you said? Okay. So I'll use my life. And by the way, all the advice that we're giving, we are not licensed psychologist therapists. I have a PhD in psychology, but I'm an organizational psychologist and I'm a happiness coach. And I have a best-selling book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, and long time coaching practice. So that's where my stuff's coming from. Dr. Tiffany Tate is an OBGYN MD doctor, and certainly with moms, I'm sure she has to coach them when they come in to have babies beyond how to actually pop one out. And she has a bunch of life experience. She was a veteran, tons of experience you've got in this, even though we're both ageless. I would say we have multitudes of decades of experience that we're sharing here. So I just wanted to put that moose on the table. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect. So my issue, challenge, opportunity is I don't like confrontation at all. And I know it's probably because I grew up with a lot of confrontation, daily, hourly, screaming, blaming, shaming, yelling, hitting. And as a result of that, I when I am confronted, I shut down. It's like, okay. bye. And that's my way of being. And when I chose a man, I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma, that often we choose men who treat us the same way. Now, he didn't physically abuse me, but emotionally, not answering questions, not showing affection, not affirming any kind of, yes, I think you're wonderful, or I think you're beautiful, withholding sex, withholding love, because he was broken too. And as a result, we never had an argument, which is not good. And that's what you were talking about, Dr. Tiffany. Never having a confrontation is also not good. So I'm a perfect poster child for this topic right now. And I don't like it, but I'm glad that she picked it.
Mhm. But you know, that's normal because you tend to be addicted to abuse and misuse because that's your normal. And when you have the trauma, you tend to be drawn to it because that is your normal and you
Yes.
are okay with that. And is that necessarily a bad thing? Not necessarily, but the only way that you can get over a problem and to address a problem is to identify that it exists. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to let you know,
no, please.
hey, because that's what we tend to do is to be drawn to what we are used to. And the only way to change a pattern is to identify that the pattern exists. Because I grew up with a history of abuse, and I too was in an abusive marriage because I was used to that. And I was abused emotionally and verbally because that's what I was used to. And I accepted that. And I'm like, oh, it's okay because I grew up with that. And you become a stuffer and you stuff that in because you're okay with that. And you accept that as a baseline normal, even though it's not normal until other people are like, wait, what? You're dealing with this? You're living with this? Oh, sweetie, you shouldn't. And I'm a board certified OBGYN. I counsel other women. And you're like, oh, but it's okay. But it's not okay. You accept it as okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the habit that you're talking about, it's easier for me not to confront. It's easier for me to just let it go. It's easier for me to just say, not this one, bye. And as a result, I don't have a very strong muscle to work through conflict. At when I have conflict, it's for me, it's just like, bye bye, right? And I'm being, I can't believe I'm showing my underwear here because what I do is absolutely coach people on how to, work through conflict and all of that. But I have to be honest, not all the time, but the deep seated um, trigger for me is that when people raise their voices or they say something mean, my immediate is, if I look like you, I'd be miserable too. So that's, back at you, insult you. I don't say it to your face, but I will just smile and I'll say, have a great life, or, you know, blessings to you. And then I will leave, which, in some situations, like if it's some rude person in line at the grocery store, they don't mean anything to me. So in those cases, it's not worth the confrontation. And that's the rule that I use and I teach. Sorry, I teach, sometimes I use is, when do you confront people? And it's, if the relationship matters, that's my rule. If the relationship matters, then confront. If it doesn't matter, walk away. And so for someone in the grocery line, I'm not, who cares, right? If it's someone that I don't have to work with, who cares? But if it's someone I have to work with every day, or if it's someone I'm married to, not going to happen. But if it's someone I'm trying to have a relationship with, then yes, do confront.
Yeah, I think it's important to know, I think in the history, what hill you want to battle on, what um, what what horse you want to ride. And every battle isn't worth embarking on. And when you want to confront somebody, it is important to know that you should engage and shouldn't engage. And what is a confrontation? Some people say it's a hostile or argumentative meeting or situation. Not necessarily. It's an engagement, and it can be healthy in certain situations. It is an it is an engagement. And I think if we look at it and approach it with that way, and I looked it up, and a lot of people have disagreements on how you can look at it. And if you approach it with these three rules, you want to one, stick to the case, and avoid any personal attacks on the person as an individual. So if you avoid any personal attacks on that individual, they won't get defensive. And never tell the person about themselves. Like, well, you said this and you said that. You want to say, I feel. That way, you're expressing how you feel and you're better able to communicate. And a lot of times people say, oh, well, you're just saying that because you're emotional. Well, yeah, you're expressing yourself. But if you're opening up about how you feel, you're better able to communicate and engage with someone and have a dialogue. And I would have a mnemonic when I have a conversation with somebody, and I call it VEN. Number one, you want to validate someone because we all want to be heard. If you validate how the other person is feeling, they're going to be more receptive to what you're hearing. Then you want to educate them about your cause because that helps them. And then you want to negotiate because, in essence, you're trying to come to a middle ground. You're not trying to be a dictator. That's not what we're trying to do. You want to be heard, the other person wants to be heard. So you need to come to a middle ground. We're not little dictators here. You want to hear them, they want to hear you. So when you're trying to talk to somebody, it's important to come to a middle ground. And when you, especially when you're in the workplace, you have to have this. And if you're working with somebody and you're in a business situation and you're at work and they're doing something you don't like and it's going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and you're stuffing it down and you're just biting your tongue and you're just pushing through it, you're going to develop resentment and you're going to hate it and you're going to hate your job and then you're going to start looking for another job and you have years before retirement. You need to be able to speak out. If you're in a relationship, it's going to get worse and worse, and it's hard and
Yeah.
it becomes problematic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just anchor the balance again. Yes, on one end, it's important to confront and talk about your feelings, right? But if you're a person that's always talking about your feelings and everyone's upsetting you and everyone's doing stuff that you don't like and your feelings are hurt all the time and it's all about how people impact you and la la la, that is also not effective. I think there's a balance,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So
there
the other side is nothing bothers you. You don't want to confront. You don't want to say anything contrary. That extreme isn't good. So the balance is know when to hold and know when to fold.
Yes, that song is very on point. I know in my situations, I've had a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And when I was going through my drama, I'm a stuffer. And I would just stuff until I became like Popeye the Sailor. I've had all I can stands and I can't stands no more. And then I would just spew everything out. And when I would try to confront, we would get into a situation in which I was gaslighted. And that was a whole nother situation where everything was turned back around on me. And I would shrink back because I felt bad for trying to confront. And you have to know what type of person you are actually trying to confront, because you end up in this vicious cycle, and you end up in this this whirlwind, because you have different personalities you're interacting with.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can remember I just don't even try to stand up or hold or communicate with some people because I know that they're just not open or understanding, or they will never get me. This is a family member who they're just never going to get me. Like, I've tried 70,000 ways to try to, I've taken them to a therapist together to try to get us better in communication. And it just, and I had to accept that, I just love him the way he is and minimize the interaction, because every time it blows up. So there, like you said, Dr. Tiffany, know the person. If it's a person that you've tried 7 dozen times different ways, then just be polite, love them for who they are, and don't try to get people to understand where you're coming from. I think that for me was one of the most important lessons with confrontation, because I do remember when I was married to my husband, we went to a therapist to try to work stuff out. And the little conflict that we had was over me getting my nails done. Okay. And he would say, it's excessive. She gets her nails done uh, once a week. And that's, excessive. She doesn't need to do that. Mind you, I was the full time worker, right? So I worked and he stayed at home with the kids. And so I brought the money. And so I said to the therapist, I really think, I'm professional. I work every day, and this is part of the way I present myself. I think it's important. And he said, okay, you think it's important, and he doesn't think it's important. So you can either continue to try to convince him that it's important, which he doesn't, or you can just say, it's important to me, and that's enough, and then go on your way and get the manicure. Because it doesn't matter in this case that he agreed with me, and the dysfunction wasn't him. The dysfunction was me, because I didn't feel like I deserved to do that. And therefore, I wanted to convince him to get the validation or the approval or the okay to do that. And all of a sudden, all the light bulbs went on and all the bells and whistles. And even though we're not married, I'm happily divorced. That lesson that therapist, Todd Krieger, who's fabulous, by the way, he's in Huntington Beach. He's been on the show several times. He's got best-selling books on cheating. He's great. But he, was instrumental in that fundamental BS belief system that if I think something's important, then I need to anchor myself in that, and a confrontation is not needed.
I understand. And it's important when you said um, some of the main causes of conflict, because when you talk about some of the causes, there are a good 5 good causes of conflict. Information is one of the causes, because a lot of times people disagree over general information. And over what is said. People will get upset over what information is out there, what someone has said about someone else, or just general information. People get upset and confront each other over their value system, and sometimes we just need to agree to disagree. And I think that that is a very important point to make, because a lot of times people get up in arms over their religious beliefs and
Political beliefs. I mean, we've lost, it's like we've lost the ability to agree to disagree. That is one of the most concerning things about this day and age. We used to be able to, oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican,
Make fun of each other and laugh.
yeah, yeah, elephant, a
Yes.
donkey ass, not that
Yes,
ass,
absolutely.
and now it's like, oh, and then unfriend, or I'm not going to talk to you, or oh my gosh, I've had people on the street give fingers if there's, bumper stickers, or, the hostility now because you can't agree to disagree. I please let's bring that back,
Yes.
right?
Maintain low tones. We need to calm down a little bit. We really need to pull back, pull up, calm down. And a lot of times people even disagree over interests. I want to go skating. I want to go to the movies. It really is okay. It's okay to have different interests. It's okay to want to do different things. People want to find mates with the exact same ideals. It's okay to want to be different. I remember Paula Abdul had the song Opposites Attract. It's true. You really don't want to date someone who is the exact same thing as you. I mean, I really don't want to be with somebody who is exactly like me. I think two doctors would not be good together.
Does that mean you're not asking me out, Dr. Tiffany?
Absolutely not. Two surgeons holding a
Yeah.
program, that is absolutely terrible. And
Yeah.
so, and in relationships, just like you said, people in relationships, they have a lot of issues. They have a lot of problems that they need to work out and work through. And then they're just inherent structural issues that a lot of times people have problems with. And I think that when you are working through a lot of things that you digest when you're dealing with problems in your life, you have to realize that it is okay to disagree. And a lot of times we're taught get along, go along, and not speak up
Mm.
for themselves. But there are situations in which you do and you should speak up for yourself. It's okay to be a little bit assertive, especially if it's a situation where it's not helpful for you. And if it's, especially if
Mhm.
it's hurting you. And I think we really need to change our mindset. Now, there are certain people who are just way too assertive, and you know who you are.
Yeah, if people see you and then they duck into the hallway or to the bathroom, you're one of those people.
Yeah, we're not calling you out, but you know who you are. Uh, but I think that we just really need to be kinder, be gentler, and try to communicate better with one another.
Absolutely. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering what we're talking about, who's in studio? Well, it is Wednesday's series, Doctors in the House on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show
And
celebrating 594 consecutive weeks on the air. And we have in studio the lovely Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
and we're here talking about confrontation, when to hold, when to fold, what to say, what not to say, who to have a confrontation with, and who you don't want to have a confrontation with. And we are on KCAA, NBC News Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get an alarm every weekday morning to tune in to a show about hope and happiness. And we want to go over here and just welcome. We've got someone streaming from Kenya. And I love the fact that we have the over 100 nations actually that watch my show. And I'm very happy with that. We also have Orville Nation out of New York. And my friend PJ, who's wonderfully supportive, is also tuned in. So I want to use you as my coach right now. And I'm going to give you a situation
Okay.
that I am, I'm going through some of the same things that we've talked about. And he's a friend, a very close friend. And we had our first disagreement, and it doesn't feel good. And he doesn't like some things that I have neglected to do that I didn't know I was supposed to do. And so I feel like I got unfairly criticized. Now, that's a button that I own. So I have no problems being called out or criticized for things that I've done to you if I've done something to you. But when I don't think that I've done anything and you come back and criticize me, I get mad. I
Okay.
get mad, and then I get sad, like hurt, like it takes me back into that little girl, because when I was a kid, I was, hit and criticized and insulted for no reason. And so that's a huge button for me.
Okay.
And so my head goes to, oh my God, well, is this time to walk away? I don't want the relationship anymore, but we have things that we're doing together that, that would be, you know, having to walk away from that. And I know deep down in my heart, this is just something I need to work through, but I don't want to. So you coach me.
Okay. So we're going to VEN this. Remember, VE
Right?
is my mnemonic. We're going to validate, we're going to educate, and we're going to negotiate.
Okay.
So we're going to validate we know how you feel, but
Yeah.
we're going to validate him. Okay. We hear his problems. We,
Okay.
we accept how he's feeling. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
he is feeling that you offended him. Even though we don't feel that he's wrong, he is okay to have his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You are okay to have your feelings because you both have every right to feel the way you feel. Okay?
Okay.
He is entitled to his feelings, and you are entitled to your feelings. It is
Okay.
okay.
Now I'm gonna just play devil's advocate here. In this situation, this doesn't hold, but I'm gonna be like a brat right now and say, but what if he's wrong? Like he's not wrong. Like I hear you and I'm listening. But let's say anyone else and is listening and they're gonna say, yeah, but he's not entitled to his feelings because he's wrong. What do you do with that?
Even if he's wrong, he is entitled. Even okay, let me give you a situation.
Okay.
Little Tommy buys roses for Susan in the class. Okay? There's two little girls. There's Sarah and Susan. And little Tommy buys roses for Susan. Okay?
Mhm.
And but Sarah is his girlfriend. Okay? But he
Okay.
buys roses for Susan. Sarah gets upset because he buys roses for Susan.
Mhm.
Why does Sarah get upset?
Well, he didn't get her flowers, and she's his girlfriend.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that Sarah just had a death in the family. So he's thinking that he's buying roses for her because he likes her, but he's buying roses because something sad happens. So she thinks something, so she's implying something that doesn't exist. So
Okay.
is she
She's
entitled?
in.
Is she entitled to her feelings?
Yes.
But she's implying a wrong reason to those feelings.
But what if I've done investigation and there is no death in the family and he's doing it because he wants to have her on the side?
Yes, but that's not the case. So I hear you, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from a different perspective, there's a different meaning. So a lot of
Yes.
times we imply a meaning that doesn't necessarily exist to a situation.
Fair point. And I call that MSU University. We
Hmm.
go to making shiitake up university all the time. We
Yeah.
assume we know why people have said or done the things that they have when it could be something completely different. So that is a great point, Dr. Tiffany. And it triggers with me that it would be useful if I didn't react so much to way I was feeling, or I have the right to the way I'm reacting. But then if I can put myself in his spot and sit and based on what he's seeing, is it possible that he's in MSU University and seeing things, and therefore he has the right to react the way he is based on what he is seeing? Is it possible, is the key words that I use, is it possible that blah, 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 blah. And if I can give him this much of possible, then I'm more apt to like chill more or melt more or, take a step toward instead of away. Okay, I get it. So already I'm thinking, okay, well, based on his criticism, I could see how he would feel like I was blank. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
okay.
you want to focus on something else to gain a different perspective.
Uh-huh.
Try to get empathy to gain to create that bridge. And so I think the best way when you're validating and educating and then communicating, and the
Mm-hmm.
best way is to talk to him. A
Oh,
lot
that.
of times we don't want to talk. Look at that. Nope, nope, nope. And a lot of times when we're upset, we don't want to talk because that tongue, we do not want to tame the tongue. Now that might be a good talk, a good conversation for another show. Taming the tongue, because this it does not want to be tamed. That would be
Yeah.
a really good show. Taming the tongue.
Yeah.
Uh,
We'll do that next week for sure because it's definitely easier for me to walk away than to risk saying something because you cannot unring a bell, and I hate apologizing, which is why I don't want to have that confrontation. I'm afraid that what I'm going to say is never going to lead, because when people say something to you, I remember things from, 2 decades ago. I won't bring it up, but I will not come around you, even if you've apologized,
mhm.
because I don't want to risk having that conversation again.
Well, next week we can do taming the tongue.
Okay.
I think that's necessary. We definitely need to talk about taming the tongue because this right here, we got to do. We definitely need to tame that beast because it is a beast. It is a bell that cannot be unrung. But I really believe that you can have a conversation with him, and what you can do is let him do the talking and you do the listening.
What?
Ah. And what you can do is breathe through it.
Yep.
We can breathe through it. And a lot of times, the way you can react to the conflict is stay calm, clarify the problem. And a lot of times you can say, I feel. Don't focus on trying to apologize. Talk about how you feel. You made me feel this way. If he knows how he made you feel and how his actions made you feel and how his words made you feel, I think he will respond differently.
Okay, I'm
And
going to be devil's advocate again. There
mhm,
are some people who really don't give a flying fork through a rolling donut how people feel. They're not touchy-feely people. They are analyzers. They are, all about show me the data and don't talk about your feelings. And I hate to say this, I'm a little bit that way. I think that people overly talk about their feelings. I think they don't take responsibility for their own reactions, and that no one's responsible for my mood except for me. And I have a choice every moment to decide to either be offended or be understanding. And
but
so
if you have
that's when I come up against that again, because I know for a fact that he is not responsive to I feel statements.
okay, if
That's
he's
what that's one of the glues for us. Like we're both similar that way in
not
that. Okay, so that's not going to work.
okay, so then tackle the issue. If he's
Okay.
not a touchy feely person, then
Yeah.
tackle the issue. because
Okay.
that's true. I've met people like that. So
Yeah.
if the healing thing won't hit it, then
Yeah.
tackle the issue at hand. Because
Okay.
tackling the issue and seeking the resolution to the issue should
Yeah.
work better for you guys. And
Okay.
that will help. And then make sure you're talking in a neutral space, not at his place or your space. Because if you're at his space, he'll feel more empowered. If you're at your space, you'll feel more empowered. So you want to be at a neutral space so that he won't feel that you have the upper hand, or you won't feel that he has the upper hand. So you want to be at maybe a park or a restaurant. You want to be at a neutral space so that it's kind of even kill. And hopefully everything will be good and you'll both be able to work this out.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Tiffany coaching Dr. Marissa today on confrontation. We'll see if that works. I will say that as you were talking, some things really did help me with um, reminding me of some things that I actually teach, but have not applied to myself. Isn't it interesting how we do this like teachers? We're really good at teaching others, but applying it as another story. But I have forgotten one of the key elements for me. I used to teach a class at UCLA in the MBA school called conflict management, and the book Getting to Yes is a really good book if anybody does conflict resolution for a career. But if we both can agree on the same goal, ultimate goal. So that's what I usually start with is I don't want to have this discussion, but our relationship is so important to me that even though I'm really uncomfortable going through this with you, I am determined to not hang up, not yell, listen to you as best as I can because I care about our relationship. And if you have a common goal, or let's say you're at work, the common goal is we both want to have the best numbers this quarter, or we both want to look good to our client. We both want to. In that way, we're anchoring something in common. Hopefully, he has that in common, and therefore, that's the glue that will allow you to move through the uncomfortable feelings of conflict. Because let's face it, folks, it's not fun. I don't know anyone who likes, oh, yay, let's have some conflict, except for the drama kings and the drama queens. You know, I am drama, therefore I am. But most people don't really want to have that difficult conversation. And it also reminded me of a friend of mine who's been a past guest, Arlene Hilton, Reverend Arlene Hilton. She calls it carefrontations. Carefrontation is the confrontation for good, for the relationship. So thank you for reminding me of those things.
Absolutely. And I know it's hard because it's always do as I say, not as I do.
Go figure, right? Go figure. Yeah. It's the phone thing. It's like it's funny these days. More and more people are using text, and one of the benefits of text is you can formulate what you want to say. On the other hand, one of the bad things about text is you don't have the full context of the words. I mean, because communication, that model that I used to teach, is 55% is body language, facial expression, right? 40% is in the tone, pitch, and volume. That means it's only 5% in the content of our words. That's what you see when you text. So you're missing all of those cues. No wonder you get pissed off when sometimes you're reading a text. You have no clue that that person is not even there. But so that is why I'm agreeing with you. Phone is best, but it's like that 55,000 foot, sorry, 55,000-pound phone, right? You don't want to pick it up. You don't want to go there. And it is much easier to go live on a desert island by yourself, but it isn't that great. You're all there by yourself. I have to keep telling myself that.
Yeah. And I know, I think Plato says, never get angry over what you can help and over what you cannot help.
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, I love Thich Nhat Hanh's. If someone comes and sets your house on fire, resist the urge to go and set his house on fire. Instead, turn around and put out your own fire.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we're so glad that you're tuned in here. If you have any questions or comments for Dr. Tiffany or I on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on NBC News Radio, CAA. What was that?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay, that's kind of weird. AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. Then please do go in the chat and put your comments there. We are streaming live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and my Home Central 1023 shows now on my YouTube TV channel. And this is the very special series, Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
all right. And we've been talking about confrontation, what it is, when to have it, when not to have it, how to have it. And we even did a little intervention on myself. Dr. Tiffany helped me just now formulate my game plan for after I hang up because I do recognize that this is one of those times when a confrontation is probably a good thing. A carefrontation is a good thing. So that is wonderful. And I wanted to bring up Dr. Tiffany is going to be in a couple of places that you will want to join her at. So let me go ahead and pull this up. And Dr. Tiffany, if you could just explain where you're going to be
Yes.
and invite people to join you.
Yes, I am going to be in a play at Second Birth Church here in Riverside, California on Friday, October 13th. I will be featuring music by Dr. Margaret Pleasant Duro, who is a gospel composer and educator and author. She is actually world renowned. Um, there is not a Sunday that goes by that any church is not featuring her music. She has given me permission to use one of her songs, and Dr. Duro is a veteran recording artist. She conducts workshops throughout the United States and Europe and has written more than 100 songs, including We're Blessed, Rivers of Joy, Give Me a Clean Heart, If It Had Not Been for the Lord on My Side, Trees, I'm Glad, He Decided to Die, What Shall I Render? Her songs have been recorded by the Mighty Clouds of Joy, Tammy Becker, Pastor Shirley Caesar, the Reverend James Cleveland, and many, many others. I will also be singing a song by recording gospel artist Brent Jones, who has won a Grammy and been featured in the Billboard Music Awards. So you see the flyer there. You can purchase tickets at the door. Hopefully, you can come on out. We would love to have you on Friday, October 31st, Second Baptist Church. Come on, we'd love to have you. Next,
Sounds,
mhm.
sounds great.
Next, I will be at the Taste of Soul, and that will be on Saturday, October 21st in Inglewood, and I will be at the Mahogany Bookshelf booth, and I will be signing autographs for my two books, Bad Touching, which features stories about Lily and Linda, two sisters who learn about um, how to protect themselves from physical abuse, and my book, Floetry 108 Poetic Flows of Life, Love, and Liturgical Issues. And you can purchase those books or bring your book that you have already purchased, and I'll be happy to talk to you as well as sign your books. I will be in a booth with other authors, so you can purchase a book from me or 5 other authors, and we would love to have you. So come on out on Saturday, October 21st to the Taste of Soul. There'll be lots of yummy food there, lots of other vendors, and this is in Inglewood. You will have a fabulous time. It is from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I have been to this event before. You will not be disappointed.
Fantastic. And you'll get to see her there. And I am actually going to also give you a chance to win some tickets. This is the Asian Oprah giveaway portion. One of my sponsors, long time, is Saban Theater's Productions, where music meets the soul. And I have a pair of tickets to 98 Degrees, which is on Friday, October the 6th. The first person that goes to my website, drmarissa.life, and puts in, let's do Jeff Timmons. He's a past guest on my show. He's one of the 98 Degrees performers. And if you put the word Jeff Timmons there, you'll get a pair of tickets to go to the Savant Theater in Beverly Hills, October 6th for that show. And one more giveaway because I can. Another one of my wonderful sponsors is the Catalina Jazz Festival. And I am delighted that I am again giving away Sunday passes. So the Sunday passes are amazing. I think I'm going to be there the second weekend. My twin sister, Keiko Matsui, #1 Billboard, she's going to be on Friday night. Let's see. That's the hotel's page. Okay, here we go. Here's some of the people that are performing. You're going to have to, Gerald Albright is a friend of mine as well. I'm so lucky. I dated someone. Oh, there's my sister. She's been on the show so many times. You can enjoy our interviews on my YouTube channel, Acoustic Alchemy. It's a wonderful, wonderful jazz festival, and you get to go to Catalina and spend the day across the water. So, a pair of tickets on Sunday's Pass, second weekend, to the first person who goes to drmarissa.life and puts down jazz as the keyword, and you'll get a pair of tickets there. So, as usual, Dr. Marissa giving stuff away, as well as Dr. Tiffany, my wonderful co host on Wednesdays and Doctors in the House, inviting you to join her on several events. Final word? Oh, we have 1 minute.
Okay. You guys take care of yourself, stay strong, and be blessed.
Hey, perfect. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through, inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.